Welcome in, everyone. You know we love to go deep on your requests, and this one is all about self-improvement.
Yeah, really interesting stuff.
You guys sent in this YouTube video featuring Jordan Peterson, the psychologist.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And it kind of got us thinking about all these ways we can all, I don't know, just be better.
Mm-hmm.
So today we're going to dive into his ideas, see what we can learn, what resonates, all that good stuff.
I think what's really fascinating about Peterson is how he ties these big ideas like truth, language, all of that, to very practical steps you can take to actually, improve your life.
Right. Okay, so truth.
Yeah.
He has this whole thing about asking stupid questions, which I love,
Mm.
because they used to be so afraid of sounding stupid.
Oh,
But
totally.
he's like, no, no, no.
Yeah.
Ask the stupid questions.
Yeah, he says those, what he calls stupid questions are actually the ones that are keeping us stuck in ignorance, right?
Yeah.
It's like we're carrying around these little question marks in our heads,
Yeah.
afraid to ask them out loud.
Yeah. And the not knowing is almost heavier.
Exactly. And by asking, even if it feels a little awkward at first, you're actually freeing yourself from that burden of not knowing.
And the relief you feel when you finally get it.
It's like a weight's been lifted.
Yeah. But Peterson doesn't stop there.
No. Yeah.
He ties truth to, authenticity.
Mm-hmm.
He uses this example of students writing essays just to please the professor,
Mm.
and they lose their own voice.
Right. And I think that's such a powerful analogy for life in general, right?
It is.
Like if we're constantly trying to please others or manipulate them to get what we want.
Are we really being ourselves?
Yeah. And at what cost? Peterson would say that kind of inauthenticity can lead to all sorts of problems like resentment and bitterness because we're not actually living in alignment with who we are.
And then you get into this whole performance, right?
Clearly.
You're not being, you're performing.
Wearing a mask.
Yes. And this leads us to his thoughts on language.
Oh, yeah. He's got a lot to say about that.
He calls words ancient artifacts. Like every word we use has this history, these echoes of the past.
Right. And if we think about words as these powerful vessels of meaning, shouldn't we be using them carefully, thoughtfully?
It makes you realize how much power our words actually have.
They shape our thoughts. They shape our actions.
Oh, yeah, I never thought about it that way.
It's pretty mind-blowing when you really start to pay attention to the words you use and how they impact yourself and those around you.
So we've got truth, we've got language.
Big concepts.
But how do we actually use this for self-improvement?
Yeah, that's the key question, right? And Peterson is all about taking action.
He is.
He suggests this really simple exercise. Sit down, ask yourself, what's one thing I'm doing wrong that I could fix?
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, don't try to change everything at once.
No, it's too overwhelming.
Just focus on that one small thing.
Right, it's like, those bite-sized workouts.
Exactly. You're still getting the benefit, but it's not so intimidating.
You don't feel like you're going to die.
Right.
Okay, so we're making small changes.
Small changes, big impact.
And that's where the clean your room analogy comes in, right?
Oh, yeah, that's a classic, Peters.
He's saying, start with a small area of chaos.
Create some order.
And that can create a ripple effect in other areas of your life.
Totally. Think about it. If you can create order in your physical environment, you can start to create order in your mind, your relationships, even your work.
You know what? I tried it.
Really?
I did.
How'd it go?
Just cleaning a small space, like a drawer.
Uh-huh.
And it was amazing how much that shifted my mindset.
Yeah.
It's like this microdose of accomplishment.
And that sense of accomplishment, even if it's from something small, can give you the motivation to tackle bigger challenges.
Right. Okay, so we're cleaning our rooms, asking tough questions, being mindful of our words.
Good start.
What else? Peterson's a big reader, right?
Oh, yeah, he's a voracious reader.
He says it's crucial for intellectual development.
Right.
But he doesn't just say read for pleasure.
No. Yeah.
He's like, read things that are difficult.
Challenge yourself.
Yes. Read things that make you think.
Expand your mind.
It's so easy to stay in your comfort zone.
It is.
But Peterson says real growth comes from grappling with those tough ideas.
Think about it this way. When was the last time you really struggled to understand a book?
Oh, yeah,
It probably felt frustrating.
it did.
But as Peterson points out, that struggle is actually rewiring your brain.
Oh.
It's making you a more capable thinker.
So the next time I want to throw a book across the room.
Exactly. Remember that feeling of frustration is actually a sign that you're growing, that you're expanding your capacity to understand complex ideas.
Okay, so I'm going to reframe that frustration.
Reframe it.
But speaking of struggling with books, he tells this story about spending 6 months reading a neuroscience book,
Wow.
like a super dense book.
Yeah.
And he calls it a gift because he basically absorbed decades of the author's research in just a few months.
That's amazing.
So it's like this concentrated knowledge.
Yeah, it's like fast-tracking your learning.
And you know what else is interesting? He found inspiration in Shakespeare.
Shakespeare?
Yeah, he was in SEAL teams.
Wait, what? How did Shakespeare help him in the SEAL team?
I know, right? But it wasn't about, like, understanding the plots or anything.
Okay.
It was about the precision of the language and those close reading skills.
I see.
And get this, he actually used those same skills to decipher, like rules of engagement documents.
Wow. So he's taking these seemingly unrelated things like Shakespeare and military documents and finding these connections, these underlying principles that can be applied across different areas of life.
Right. It's not just about the content.
It's about the skill.
It's about how you think.
And how you approach challenges.
I love it. And this whole idea of pushing your boundaries through reading, it connects to this bigger theme in his work.
What's that?
Embracing struggle.
Oh, yeah, he's all about that.
He says we're wired to strive, to seek out challenges.
It's in our DNA.
It's like we need that struggle to feel alive.
He actually said, we derive value from walking uphill.
But how do we find the right kind of struggle? One that actually leads to growth. I mean, I get what you're saying about discipline leading to freedom.
Yeah.
But doesn't that make you rigid? Like, how do you find that balance?
That's a great question. And it's something Peterson talks about a lot. He wouldn't advocate for a life of constant joyless striving.
Okay.
It's about finding those challenges that resonate with you, that speak to your values and aspirations.
Yeah, that makes sense.
He uses this image of Sisyphus.
Oh, yeah, the guy pushing the boulder up the hill.
Eternally, yeah.
And most people see that as, like, futility. Right.
Right.
But Peterson says, no, no, no.
It's not about the destination.
It's a journey.
Exactly. It's about that constant striving, that uphill climb that gives our lives meaning.
Okay, I kind of get it.
It's a bit of a paradox, but it's a powerful one.
It is.
Right.
But if the goal always changes, how do you know if you're making progress?
That's where discipline comes in. Peterson says we purchase freedom at the price of discipline. Think about a concert pianist. They've spent thousands of hours practicing.
Oh, yeah.
That discipline, that willingness to delay gratification, that's what gives them the freedom to express themselves through music.
Because it's not about doing whatever you want.
Right.
It's about having the control.
To pursue what truly matters.
I see, I see.
And that brings us to Peterson's big question. Is life meaningful or meaningless?
Whoa.
He really wants us to wrestle with that.
Because?
Because the answer you choose changes everything.
Whoa.
He even talks about this thing called gold medal depression.
What's that?
It's where people achieve incredible things like winning Olympic gold medals.
Oh, wow.
But they still feel empty inside.
So even achieving your goals doesn't guarantee happiness?
Not necessarily.
That's kind of depressing, but also, like, makes sense.
Right. It's like there's this void that success alone can't fill.
So how do we avoid that? Like, what's the antidote to gold medal depression?
Peterson would say you need a goal that keeps evolving, something that pulls you forward even after you hit those milestones. And he argues that if you believe life is meaningless, then impulsive pleasure and a lack of responsibility become the default.
Because why bother with anything if it doesn't matter?
Exactly. It's a recipe for nihilism and despair because nothing truly matters.
But if you believe life does have meaning,
then your actions have weight.
Choices matter.
Your struggles have purpose.
It's like you're part of something bigger than yourself.
Yes. And that sense of purpose, that feeling that your life has meaning, that's what gives you the fuel to keep going, even when things are tough.
It's like you're playing a role in this grand cosmic drama where everything you do has ripple effects. It's about embracing the struggle, knowing that the uphill climb is what gives our lives meaning and purpose.
Beautifully said.
Okay, so we're asking tough questions, being honest, embracing the struggle.
This is just the beginning.
There's so much more to explore.
Oh, yeah.
Let's keep going.
Let's dive deeper. You know, one thing that really jumps out at me about all of this is Peterson's emphasis on honesty.
Like radical honesty.
Yeah, exactly.
It seems to come up a lot, right? Like when we're asking those tough questions, figuring out our motivations, even choosing our words carefully.
He ties it all back to personal responsibility. Like, if you're not willing to be truthful about your own, flaws, how can you possibly expect to improve? It's like trying to fix a leaky faucet, but pretending there's no water.
Such a good analogy.
Yeah.
And he doesn't shy away from how hard that self-scrutiny can be.
No, he doesn't.
He uses words like harsh, even terrible, to describe what it might feel like to really confront your weaknesses.
He's definitely not afraid to get real.
No, he's not.
But his point is, it's a necessary pain.
Good.
The price you pay for, actually living a life that's more authentic.
More meaningful.
Yeah.
So it's like going through the fire to come out stronger.
Exactly. You got to go through the crucible to refine yourself.
I like that, the crucible. Okay, so honesty with yourself is one thing.
Right.
But what about honesty with others?
Ooh, that's where it gets even trickier.
Yeah, because being radically honest with people you care about, that can be risky. It could lead to conflict, damaged relationships even.
Yeah. So it's not about just like blurting out every critical thought that pops into your head.
Right. That's not going to end well.
No, it's about finding that balance between honesty and compassion,
Okay.
between speaking your truth and also considering the impact of your words on others.
So, like, check your motives.
Exactly. Why are you sharing this? Is it to genuinely help the other person, or are you just trying to make yourself feel superior or get a reaction?
I'm definitely guilty of that sometimes.
We all are.
Okay, so honesty is key, both with ourselves and others.
Mm.
Peterson also talks about the dangers of seeking external validation.
Oh, yeah. Especially in today's world.
Social media.
Right. It's like this constant pressure to get likes and comments and approval from everyone.
He actually compares it to being a puppet.
A puppet?
Yeah, like you're being controlled by external forces.
I see what he's saying.
If you're always chasing that external validation.
You're letting other people dictate your thoughts.
Your action.
Your identity.
It sounds exhausting.
It is exhausting. It's like you're always performing, always trying to please everyone else but yourself.
And never really getting there.
Because you can never fully control what other people think of you.
Right. So how do we break free from that?
He brings it back to those tough questions.
Okay, give me one.
Ask yourself, what's one thing I'm doing in my social interactions that's not authentic?
Oh, I see. So applying that to my relationships.
Exactly. Am I being genuinely myself, or am I just trying to project an image that I think will get me approval?
It's so easy to fall into those people-pleasing patterns.
It is, but the more you can become aware of those patterns, the more you can start to break free from them.
So instead of external validation,
Focus on your internal compass.
what matters to me?
Yeah. What does a meaningful and fulfilling life look like to you, not to anyone else?
That's a good question to ask.
It is.
I think we often go through life on autopilot,
Totally.
just chasing these goals that society tells us to chase, without really stopping to think, wait, are these even my goals?
Peterson would say that if you're not living in alignment with your values, it's not really you who's living.
That's deep, man.
It is deep. It's like some other force has taken over.
Like I'm a puppet again.
In a way, yeah. But the good news is you have the power to cut those strings.
Okay, how?
By taking ownership of your life.
Okay.
Making conscious choices that reflect who you are, what you believe in.
It doesn't have to be some huge overnight transformation.
Yeah.
Just those little everyday things, right?
Exactly. Peterson talks about how those daily routines, those habits, they make up the majority of our lives.
So if you can change those small choices.
It creates a ripple effect.
Yeah, like those little tweaks you make to your diet or your exercise routine. Individually, they might not seem like much, but over time, they can create massive change.
It's the power of consistency, not intensity.
Okay, so we're being honest with ourselves.
Yes.
Taking responsibility for our choices. Building those positive habits.
Good stuff.
But where does meaning come into all of this? Like, that's the big question, right?
It is, and Peterson doesn't shy away from it.
No, he doesn't.
He actually asks the listener directly, is life inherently meaningful or meaningless?
Whoa. Heavy stuff.
It is like one of those existential questions that can really mess with your head.
Totally.
But I think it's an important one to think about.
It is, because it shapes how you view everything.
Exactly, your whole worldview. And Peterson argues that the answer you choose will have a huge impact on how you actually live your life. If you believe life is meaningless, then you're more likely to just default to impulsive pleasure and a lack of responsibility.
Yeah, because why bother striving for anything if it doesn't ultimately matter?
Exactly. It's a slippery slope to nihilism and despair.
But if you believe that life does have meaning,
then your actions have weight.
Your choices matter.
Your struggles have purpose.
It's like you're suddenly part of this grand adventure. You know, you're not just going through the motions. You're striving to create something meaningful and lasting.
I love that, this idea of life as a grand adventure.
Yeah, it's exciting.
It is, and it gives you a reason to get out of bed in the morning. It gives you something to fight for.
But how do we actually find that meaning? Is it something we're born with, or do we create it?
That's a great question, and there's no easy answer. Peterson suggests that meaning can be found in many different places in our relationships, our work, our creative pursuits, our service to others.
So it's not about achieving some external measure of success. It's about finding those things that resonate with our soul.
Exactly. It's about finding those things that make us feel truly alive, that make us feel like we're making a difference. And it's different for everyone. What lights you up might not light someone else up, and that's okay.
So we're not all meant to be doctors or lawyers or entrepreneurs.
Right. It's about finding your own unique path, your own unique way of contributing to the world.
And I think that's something we often forget. We get so caught up in comparing ourselves to others, trying to fit into some predetermined mold.
That we lose sight of what truly matters to us.
Exactly. We forget to listen to that inner voice that's telling us what we're passionate about, what we're good at, what makes us feel alive.
And that's a shame because when we're not living in alignment with our passions, we're not really living at all. We're just existing.
Because the key is to rediscover those passions.
To reconnect with that inner voice.
And to have the courage to follow where it leads, even if it takes us off the beaten path.
Even if it means facing our fears, challenging our limiting beliefs, and stepping outside of our comfort zones.
It's about embracing the unknown and trusting that the journey itself will reveal our purpose.
Beautifully said.
I'm getting inspired just thinking about it.
Me too.
It's so empowering to think we have this much say in how we see the world. But Peterson doesn't just leave it at, like, set your intentions and off you go.
No.
He talks about reflection, too, like building in checkpoints.
Absolutely. It's like taking your car in for regular maintenance.
Oh, I like that.
You wouldn't just drive it till it breaks down.
No.
Peterson's saying, treat your life the same way.
Hmm.
Regular check-ins, see how you're doing, make adjustments.
So how often are we talking? Like, am I meditating on a mountaintop every weekend?
No, it doesn't have to be that intense.
Mm.
Journaling, maybe a walk in nature, even just dedicated time to think.
Just to think.
Yeah, give yourself space away from the everyday craziness.
To really process things.
Exactly. Make sure you're still on the right track.
Which, let's be real, life throws curveballs.
Oh, it does.
Peterson doesn't pretend it's all smooth sailing.
Nope, he's all about resilience.
That ability to bounce back.
Yeah, to deal with whatever gets thrown at you.
He even says that's like the key to success and happiness.
In a way, yeah, because life is going to be hard sometimes.
So it's not about avoiding the tough stuff.
It's about building those mental muscles
To deal with it.
to come out stronger on the other side.
But are some people just born resilient?
Peterson says it's a skill.
A skill.
Like anything else, you can learn it.
Okay, I like that.
Challenging negative thoughts, practicing gratitude, even just asking for help when you need it.
So it's not weakness to ask for help.
Not at all. It's actually a sign of strength.
I'll have to remember that.
And here's another reframe. See those challenges as opportunities.
Opportunities.
Yeah, to learn, to grow, to become more than you were before.
Easier said than done, though, right?
It can be.
Especially when that self-criticism kicks in.
Oh, tell me about it.
Like when you mess up, it's easy to beat yourself up.
Peterson talks about self-compassion.
Self-compassion.
Being kind to yourself like you would a friend.
You know, it's funny. I'd never talk to a friend the way I talk to myself sometimes.
I know, right? We're often our own worst critics.
So how do we get better at this self-compassion thing?
Small steps.
It's always small steps.
Right, like taking care of yourself, challenging that negative self-talk, focusing on your strength.
Okay, I can try that.
And here's a good visualization. Imagine a loved one going through something tough. What would you say to them?
Something kind.
Right. Now say those same words to yourself.
Oh, that's powerful.
It is, right?
It's like we know how to be compassionate, we just forget to do it for ourselves.
Exact.
Okay, so honesty, resilience, self-compassion.
We're building quite the toolkit here.
We are. But there's more, right? Peterson talks about boundaries, too.
Oh, yeah, that's crucial.
It's like part of taking care of yourself.
It is. It's about protecting your time, your energy, and your emotional well-being.
But saying no is hard.
It can be, especially if you're a people pleaser.
Well, that's me.
But saying yes to everything can lead to burnout.
And resentment.
Exactly.
Okay, so how do I get better at boundaries?
Start by recognizing that your time and energy are valuable.
They are.
And it's okay to say no to things that drain you or aren't aligned with your values.
It's like that saying, you can't pour from an empty cup.
Exactly. You have to take care of yourself first so you can then show up for others.
It's like putting on your own oxygen mask on the airplane before helping others.
Perfect analogy.
Okay, honesty, resilience, self-compassion, boundaries.
Lots to think about.
There is, what's the, overarching theme here? The big takeaway.
I think it all comes back to living a life of purpose.
Purpose.
Yeah, finding your unique contribution to the world.
But how do you do that?
Peterson says, ask the big questions.
Like, what's the meaning of life?
Kind of big.
Yeah, those ones.
That's a lot of pressure.
But he's not saying you need all the answers right now.
Okay, good.
It's about the journey of seeking those answers.
So like exploring and experimenting.
Exactly. Trying different things, seeing what resonates, allowing yourself to evolve.
He compares it to like an adventure.
Oh, I like that.
You might not know the destination.
But the journey's where the magic happens. It's like we're all on a quest to find our own personal legend.
Exactly. Embrace the unknown, trust the process, and believe that you have something unique and valuable to offer the world.
This has been incredible. So much wisdom from just one video.
It's amazing what a little deep dive can do.
It is. Any final thoughts for our listeners as we wrap up?
If there's something you're fired up about, some problem that bugs you, that's your starting point.
Okay.
What can you do about it? Even just one small thing today.
Small changes, big impact.
Exactly. Keep taking those steps. You'll be amazed where you end up.
This is all about the journey, right?
The journey, the challenges, the triumphs, becoming the best versions of ourselves.
And maybe making the world a little better along the way.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. This has been a great deep dive.
Until next time, keep exploring.